Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. I apologize for the late start here. Was having a bit of an issue with OBS. It decided to resize all of my scenes out of nowhere. So yeah, that was fun. So I had to fight to get those back the last few minutes. So anyways, as you can probably see from the title of the video, today we're going to be refactoring our factories to make use of state. As the application has grown, I basically just haven't had a chance to really dig into using state. This is going to be kind of my first time, but I do know that there's a bunch of places where I have set hard-coded values in the tests. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a bunch of states in these factories so that they're easier to read. The tests are easier to read, and there's no need to parse like why a specific value is picked. So like if you see that the test is a game is in the past, we shouldn't be hard coding a value in the past. We should just let the factory pick a value in the past so that it's a lot more flexible, and that the person reading it can just see that it's like factory in the past create, right? It's very easy to understand why that was picked and what the test is really trying to test. So it's going to be a pretty simple string today. We're just going to go through each test file one by one, see where we're using values in the create method of these factories, and then we're just going to extract those values into factory state so that they're easier to read. So yeah, the documentation shows how simple these states can be. And so they give an example of like a suspended user here. I'll make this bigger here. And so you just you create this new function called suspended. You return a state which has a callback, and it takes in the attributes, and then you just set in the status, for example, right? So we should be able to do this pretty simply with what we're doing here. So we're just going to go into VS Code here, open up our test file, feature, add games to season, and let's just see what we can do here. So for example, here we're creating this venue with a factory. Actually, it's not even being created with a factory, which we probably should be doing. So venue factory create. So does that break the test? No. Okay, good. Okay, so that's interesting. It was probably creating those in the database by itself. Okay, so venue factory create. Okay, so for example, we would want to make a state that is called Scotiabank Saddledome, for example, right? So this would make it clear that this name has meaning, and it has meaning because in this fetched game, it's going to use this same string Scotiabank Saddledome, and so there are going to be other places where we use that, so we can just kind of extract it into into a state and use it in the future, kind of thing, right? So let's go like this, and so we are going to just copy and paste the first one here, just so we have it. I just want to make sure it's being imported. Factories factory. Okay, yes. Okay. So it's going to return a factory, and so what we want to do is we want to call this just saddle dome. Oops. How do we? Okay, there we go. So return this state and return name equals Scotiabank Saddle Dome. So now we can get rid of this, and we can go Saddle Dome. And if we've done everything correctly, if we rerun this test, it should still pass. Perfect. Okay, so that's a good refactor there. The next thing, games, new fetched game. Now, do we need to hard code it there? Probably do. New fetched game. Yeah, we'll leave that there. Okay, so it creates the games in chronological ascending order. Okay. Game first start date. Okay, so what are we trying to accomplish here? So creates the games in chronological ascending order. Game start. Game 2 starts. So this is adding a week to game. And right, okay, so this is probably actually a bad example because these fetched games are not, are they Laravel? No, they're not Laravel models. And so the, going all over the place here with this keyboard. Add games to season test. So these don't actually have factories. In theory, we could probably make them have factories, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to skip these for now. Okay, so those ones, we'll just call that done for now. API token permissions test, that's for Fortify, so we're not going to worry about that. Authentication test, same thing. Block email controller test. Okay, so let's see what we got in here. Okay, so hide that. And acting as invitation, email address. So how would we want to do this? So response, invite, block code. Do we even need that to be hard-coded? I don't think we do. No, we don't. So we can just clear it out and make the test even easier to read because the actual email address does not matter. Okay, cool. Another file done. Blog post test. I don't think there are any. Oh, there might be actually. Okay, so that is published date and time. Are we hard coding any values in here? Nope. Okay, cool. Browser sessions test. Yeah, this is just a Jetstream thing, so you don't need to worry about that. Check for invite code. No hard-coded values in there. Choose sport icon middleware test. Nothing hard-coded in here. Create API token test. That's part of Jetstream or Jetstream. Create new season test. I guarantee there's going to be some hard-coded stuff in here. This is a very big test. Clear that blank line. Clear this blank line. Clear that blank line. I don't know where all these blank lines came from. I'm assuming from when I originally created it. Okay, so here's the first one we can do. So we have this factory and it's creating an NFL short name. So let's go league factory. Split that to the right. And we are going to create an NFL league. Oops, we don't want that capitalized. And this is going to be short name NFL. This one needs to be capitalized. Okay. So, oh man, that's annoying. I'm going to actually, where is Cody? I don't need your help right now. Codium. Okay, fine. Okay, so short name NFL is done, so we can go like this, factory NFL. Okay, and there should not break any tests. Good. And what else do we got? Factory NFL and schedule notification. Okay, so here's another one. This really should be a factory. Schedule notification. Okay, let's actually build that factory so we don't have to keep doing this. So art, make factory, and what is it? Schedule notification. Okay, and we need a user ID and a league ID. So schedule factory. Return a user. Now there is a way, user ID think there's a better way to do this, but for now, whatever. And a league ID of a league factory. So now this should work. Okay, good stuff. And yeah, because this is not something that we can hard code because we're passing in these values from the user in league. This is not a state that we can set any more than we're already doing, kind of thing. So that's okay. Where else are we hard coding things? Okay, perfect. So we can do NFL. Get rid of this. Oh, meant to leave that open because we're going to be making another one here of the NHL. NHL. Okay, schedule notification, factory. Okay. Okay, and again, those are just the same passing in variables. So whether it's through a state here or just the create method, it doesn't really matter and doesn't really save us any time. Okay, so these are all fetched stuff. Okay, and this is just the before each. Okay, good stuff. Where are our tests? Create new season. So dark mode test. I don't think we're hard coding anything in here that we need to worry about. Test dark mode class. Okay, good. All right. Close the league factory there for a minute. Delete account test, that's Jetstream. API token test, that's Jetstream. Do not email test. This may have some hard-coded stuff. What do we got here? Test, blah, blah, blah. Create. Okay, so that's passing it in, and we... how do we want to do this? Do we want to even... No, because we don't need a user for this. We're just testing in a unit space, so... I don't think we need to make a factory for that, or a state for that in our factory. Okay, do not email test this fine. Email validator test, nothing in there. Email verification test. This is a Jetstream thing, I think, or Fortify. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. CFL command test. So I'm pretty sure these are going to have a lot of, hard-coded values, and maybe not. Just looking through these, this is actually, looks like I actually was thinking ahead. Okay, so CFLs, we don't have to worry about it. EFL League 1 should be mostly the same. Because I don't think we're not using any factories in there. Okay, fetch logo and save test. Okay, nothing in there. Good. Fetch missing logos test. Okay, so and I'm curious if we get rid of this, what happens? Okay, it still passes, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, and it runs every 4 hours. Okay, that's fine. Fetch MLB command test should be all the same. There shouldn't be any factory stuff in here. I think I'm just going to skip all those. So fetch team logos test. Okay, so no, not doing anything in factories there. Okay. File extension test. Okay, that's good. Game test. Okay, so here is where we're going to extract some stuff here. So like each of these, like this is a morning game, this is an afternoon game, this is an early game, and this is a late game kind of thing. So these are perfect examples of places where having a state would make sense, because at quick look at this, these dates don't mean anything, right? Like how are we supposed to know what this really means? So what we want to have is something like this, just like morning, right? And so it makes you can compare right in the test when you're reading it that this is a morning and it's supposed to equal game morning, right? So that's what we're going to do here. So this is a perfect example of what we're trying to accomplish here. So this is game factory. Split that to the right. And so we are going to okay, so we're going to make one morning, and we're going to set this as the start date and carbon create from time. And then save this, and we can duplicate that for afternoon. This is going to start at 1300. Let's duplicate it twice more. Okay, so we got, what is this? Early starts at 1700. And late starts at 20. Okay, so morning, afternoon, early, late. Perfect. Okay, so we can go like that. Afternoon. Early. And late. Okay, so now if we run this test, it should still pass. Perfect. And this way, this test is now a lot more clear about what it's actually trying to accomplish here and what we're testing for. You don't have to try and understand, well, what does 1700 in carbon create from time mean, right? You have to kind of get out of that mind space of testing and start thinking about calculating times and dates and stuff, right? This way, now it's super easy. We don't have to worry about it. We can just look at the test and we see the game, factory, afternoon, blah, blah, blah. Easy. Easy, easy. Okay, so what else we got here? Any other hard-coded stuff we have to worry about? Doesn't look like it. Okay, perfect. Save, yes. Close that. Okay, I get venue details test. Okay, and now I'm curious. So McMahon Stadium just happens to be in the same time zone as the Saddle Dome, and so I'm wondering if there's a way we can do this so that we don't have to have another one in there. Okay, so it's defaulting to New York. That's fine. So we just need to figure out where it's looking for this get venue details stuff. Factory Saddle Dome and venue factory. Name, okay. And now, if I remember correctly, what we really want to do is we want to say venue factory time zone. This is America, Edmonton. Why did that not work? Still thinking it's New York. Okay. Venue factory. Okay, so name sound. Is it the wrong slash? No. Why is it using New York? And why did having it McMahon Stadium have it work? Okay, so create the venue, get venue details, get venue details test. Okay, so that's this one. Okay, so get venue details. Is this just because we are, yeah, okay. This venue's, okay, so. This response, the venues, America, Edmonton, yes. I know that's not a real time zone. I just want to test it out and see if that's, no, it's not even showing up there. So why is, where is the, like, I don't think it defaults to get venue details. Okay, so handle clean venue name, then get the cache key, then go out and get that information to JSON. Response is set. So where is that America, New York showing up from? Get menu details. So let's go like this. America, New York, okay. Menu details. Well, that is very interesting. Because we're not, like I would expect that if we were setting it here, but the only HTTP response we're sending is this. Yeah, so it's got the time zone there. What if we do venue, America, Edmonton, okay. Yeah, so if we get it fresh, it's being set. Well, the next question is, why are we getting it fresh? curious as to where it's being changed to New York, though. So let's do America, New York. Is that not how we spell it in this? Oh, new underscore York. Okay. So literally nowhere. Oh, wrong slash. Okay, these are all just cache. Create new season test. Venues.json. So is it loading in an actual venue? Fixtures, SeatGeek, venues. Yeah, America, Edmonton. I'm not going to comment that out. It can exist. Just comment that out. Let's go. File. Get contents of dot tests fixtures. What is it? SeatGeek. Venues.json, I think. Okay, so what is it looking at? StubSquad test fixtures. Did I type that wrong? It's very possible I did. Test feature. Oh, feature fixtures. Feature fixtures. Yeah, it's still pulling New York. Art cache clear. I don't want those cache because I want to do another search here in a sec. Okay, so application cache cleared successfully. I don't believe you. Just go like this. Delete. Yes. Okay. So now what do we got in here? Should be only these few things here. So venue ID. America, Edmonton. We're preventing stray requests, so it shouldn't actually be making a request out to the internet. And it's not just actually finding the wrong place. Why is that not? That is very interesting. I'm curious where that's coming from. Because it should just be throwing this back as the response. That test passes. Well, I think for now, we're going to revert these changes. I still don't understand why. Oh, you know what? Okay, so I think I know what's going on here. So because what it's trying to do is it's looking into this file and it's not finding the Scotiabank Saddle Dome. Scotiabank Saddle Dome. Okay, I'll come back and update the rest of this stuff in a minute here. I just want to see if this is going to be enough to fix this test. Yep. Okay. So let's go back in here. We're going to undo those because I want it there. But what we will do is I'm going to flip to the camera, or sorry, the secret thing just for a second, just so I don't show any API keys like I've done in the past. What I want Rapid API. And I want to go to SeatGeek venues. Okay, and now I can show my desktop again here. Okay, and so we should be able to say, oh, I wonder if it's going to let me do this because I think I need to pass it in as a URL param. Okay, sorry, I'm going to have to hide this again, sorry. URL param, yeah. I will just copy the information that it throws back here, and you'll just have to trust me that I got it from the SeatGeek API. I don't know why that's happening, but I will show up my desktop again here. Okay, so it is complaining. Oh, because I've got it in the wrong spot here. Goes in this list. Oops. Scotiabank Saddle Dome. Okay, so now this test should pass. Okay, good. So we have a good refactor. And then again, Saddle Dome. Okay, good. That passes. Okay, next one, homepage test. Do we have anything in here that we can factor? Nope. How-to test. I don't think there's going to be much in here. Okay, actually there is. Okay, and this is actually a good one because, again, this doesn't... you'd have to understand what this last read how-to date is and why that needs to be null for it to be a new user. So we will go to the user factory. Let's put that right. And then we're going to personal team, don't care about that. Let's just duplicate this for a minute. And this is going to be first visit. And so this is going to say last read how to is null. So now we can clear that out. Now this reads a lot more clear about what we're trying to accomplish here with this state. Like last read how to doesn't explain what it's actually doing and why that needs to be null. But if you're reading this test, then you see, okay, so we have a user using a factory and it's their first visit. We want to create them. Like we want to specifically call out that this is their first visit. Like obviously we know that it is their first visit. And then we want to expect the last read how to date to be null, right? And then the person logs in, and then we expect their last read how to date not to be null, right? Okay, so that's I like that. Do we have anything else in here that we can factor out? We do not. Okay, good. So we can save that, close that. What's the next one? Invitation test. Yeah, these are very simple things that it doesn't really make sense as state, especially because this is not a user. This is a person that may or may not be a log, like an actual user object. Like if someone gets an invite before they've ever become a member, they don't have a user object. So we just want to treat it as a string, which is what this is. So that's why this is, I think this is an okay thing to leave. I'm just thinking, like, would I like an API, something like to block email address? I kind of do, actually. Do not email factory. Function to block. This is going to take a string email address. It's going to return a factory. And we're going to return, return this state, yeah. This time it's going to be the email address is the passed in email address. Okay, why is it squiggling? Oh, use email address. Okay, so I think that should work. So if we, okay, has no column named email address. Okay, so what was the address? Okay. Do not factory. Okay, so that works now. Invitation. Again, I kind of like the API of having like a to email address. I think I'm going to do that too. Oops. Invitation factory. To, oops. I was going to take a string of the email address, return a factory. It's going to return this state function. This attributes, I think. Probably got it wrong. Oh, say just an array of attributes. Okay. And then return. This is going to be email address is email address. Use email address. That can be saved. Okay. So now we get rid of this. Does that work? Okay, it does. So I believe there were a couple of places elsewhere that had factories for these two. So let's go see if we can find them. Okay, we don't care about that one. And this is going to be to block address. Again, it's all about readability, right? Like we want to make sure that the person who's coming in to read these these tests spends the least amount of mental energy as possible. And I find that reading this makes it really clear, like, this is what we're trying to do with this address. We're not just throwing it in a column called email address, for example. Like, this is the purpose of this address. And so I think it makes it a lot more clear. And then we'll do the same with invitation. Factory, okay, not there, good. Not there, no, there, and then there. So we can send an invitation to, make sure that test passes. Good. Another successful refactor, my favorite kind. Okay, join season test. I'm feeling there's probably going to be a few in here that we're going to have to work on. Lots of factories, but these are, again, passing in data. And so I'm not in as big a rush to do those. Now, what I'm curious about is I know that with factories, you can use the for function. So you can basically say, like, this, not the has many, we want the belongs to kind. So you can basically say, like, blah, 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 for, and okay, so we can do this. Okay, so for user, okay, so I'm just going to duplicate this for a second and then comment this out so that we can go back to it. So if we say factory count for season, and for home team first, and then if we get rid of this, does this work? I don't think it will, but we can try it. Call to undefined method game home team. So just go to game and proxy it if we have to. So function home team. We want to return this home team. Argument number 2 must be of type array. Yeah. I'm sure there's a way to make this work. I'm just not clear on what that would be, and I'd have to do some more digging. So for right now, I'm just going to go back to how it was, and then I'll do a little more reading this week and see if I can figure out how to make that work. Okay, so league test. I don't think, no, we're not doing anything funky there. Leave season test. I don't think we do much here as far as hard coding any values. New user registration, that's going to be a Jetstream thing. Password confirmation test, Jetstream. Password reset, Jetstream. Pick pattern test, not going to go in there right now. Place test. Oh, right. Okay, so this is just to test the place helper. So this is like you feed it a number and it'll basically, if you give it 201, it'll say like 201st kind of thing. Just throws back a string. It's just a little helper that I made. Profile information test, that's Jetstream. Recover deleted seasons test. We can go in here. I don't think there's much in here as far as okay, so user where admin email first. Okay, so this is just and we can even say like we want to, how do we want to say this so that it's obvious that we're creating an administrator email? make admin add admin from admin email. Yeah, I think I like that one the best. Okay, so let's go to our user factory, add another state. From admin email, and this is going to be, it's going to take a, oh, I'm curious how that even worked. Okay. Factory. And yeah, so this is going to take a string email address, and email is going to be email address. We need to use email address in there. Yeah, so we can grab that. Okay, so now it makes a little more sense to say like what we're doing here. So like user factory from email, admin email, and email admin email. Actually, I want to even be more explicit here because this doesn't make, it's not super clear. So this is an admin email address that we're given here. So this one is just kind of like a one-off thing where it's like the email address itself shows that they're not an admin. And so I'm fine with leaving this one as is because it's kind of self-explanatory what it is. Actually, I guess we could say not admin email. And just extract this to another state. Not admin email. We don't need this email address, so we can get rid of this. Okay, so now we can say this is not an admin email. This is not admin email. Yeah, I kind of like that as well. So again, extracting the logic to make it just much more easier to read. Can recover a deleted season. There's nothing going to be in there. Okay, so this one, do we want to do this one as well? Because the idea is that there's, I'm going to hide that for a second. So there's going to be a John and a John, and a Jason and a Jason, and a example.org. And sorry, they're going to have like these different email addresses, and we want to make sure that each combination is showing up or not showing up kind of thing. So this is kind of a one-off thing where we don't have to do this. This was just kind of like a matrix style thing. So I'm fine just leaving it as is. Okay, and this is going to be what do we call it? For admin, from admin email, this. I'm just going to run our test suite just to make sure that we haven't completely busted everything. I don't think we have. Oh, okay, we got one failure. How to test. Table users has no column named last read how to. Interesting. It should. So which file is that in? The how to test. Okay, so how to test. And this is because we added this, the factory, the first visit factory. So if we look at the user factory, last read how to split that right. Last read how to date. Okay, let's run these tests again. Beautiful. Okay, so we're back in business here. Okay, so yeah, recover deleted season. That's the one we were just in with these from admin email. Cool. Registration is fortifying Jetstream. Remind user due date imminent. Okay, so here's another perfect example of like, okay, so what does this mean? Why am I seeing this? And so what we want to say like so this factory is, what is it, like deadline less than a week. Actually, I wonder if we can. No, I don't think we can do it like that. So deadline. This is a really specific test, but I do want to capture it in state somehow. I'm just thinking if there's a more general way to do this. Notify user when their season's due date is in 7 days. Deadline in 7 days. Good enough for me. So ticket season factory. And so we're going to say function deadline in 7 days. It's going to take no parameters, and it's going to be a factory. And it's going to return this state. And this state is going to be a function of array attributes. I don't think we actually need these, but that's fine. And so we're going to return that. Does this still work? It does. Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, again, this is a lot more readable to me, right? Like you have a ticket season, right? It's a factory and the deadline is in 7 days. Don't need to think about what that code is doing that makes that happen. It says deadline in 7 days. I'm going to trust that this factory is being accurate as far as its own methods go. So that's a good refactor. Okay, remove invitation controller test. We are not hard coding any factory stuff there. Run all fetchers. I don't believe there's going to be much. Nope. Seasons list. Okay, so is there a reason? I'm just thinking. So, if we say user factory, do we have? So if we don't pass in a string, we will say, oops. So email string doesn't have to be passed in. And so if is null, email address equals what do we want to say? Email address equals config admin app admin email config admin config app .php. I think it's a is it not an array? StubSquad. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we can say config StubSquad. I guess I gotta StubSquad admin 0. And so what that'll do is it'll just pull the first item out of that config file if we don't specify one, right? So yeah, config StubSquad admin. So now we can say, if we don't pass one in, we can just say from admin email. Actually, I don't even think what I want to do even more is say just admin. And that way, okay, so user, no, user factory. So we can just, this can go back to how it was. We're going to duplicate this, and this time we're just going to say admin. It's not going to take any properties. It's not going to use an email address. And I'm just going to take the first configured admin email address. So this should still work. Yep. Anywhere else that we need, that we hard coded that stuff. Okay, no. Okay, so now let's go back and take a look at our list of seasons, because there's a bunch of hard coded stuff here, or at least not clear as to what this hard coding really means. And so I don't think that matters, because it's always going to, I don't think ticket season factory is setting it to anything other than now. Yeah, so that should still work. Okay. And then the idea here, I believe, is that we are creating 3 seasons, one after another, at some interval, right? So like we're saying, like, created at now, add minutes, it could be anywhere from 0 to 40 minutes from now, and then add minutes 40 plus 40, so it's like adding a third one further in the future kind of thing. And so what we really are trying to describe here is that it's creating 3 seasons, or it's creating 3 ticket seasons, or oh, actually, sorry. So it's creating, it's actually doing this loop and creating these 40 times. So it's creating 42 altogether, because it's creating one here, then 40, and then another one. So this is 41 and then 42. So yeah, so it's creating 42 seasons here, which is a lot. And my assumption is that when I was creating this test, it was looping through these so quickly that there were multiple timestamps here. But again, this shouldn't really matter, because we're not actually checking for this one. We're just checking for the first one and the last one. So if I refresh that test, it should pass. Yep. 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 So again, like clearing out these unnecessary like parameters is a good way to make them clean as well, because it's like I'm actually going to put a note here, just make 40 seasons that we don't care about. I mean, I don't know why we're making 40. I guess it was just to split these up enough that the timestamps would be different. But again, it doesn't matter anymore, because we're only checking the first and the last. And so now, if we get rid of that, yeah, see, it's the timestamp is going to be how do I put it? Like it's over. There's going to be duplicate timestamps, and so this last one, because the computer is creating these so quickly, the timestamps are identical, and it might not be sorting them in the correct order. So what we're really trying to say here is, in the, just call it future. And so now we can ticket season factory. Oops. Future. And what is the so we want specifically the created at to return created at now plus add minutes 1. Because as long, it just needs to be in the future. We don't care how far in the future, as long as it's not the timestamp, the actual timestamp that was used when the computer created the, or when the factory created the model. So now we can say factory future. And again, we can always go back and update this so that we can pass in like a value to say how many minutes. This should now work. Yep, it's always passing. Good stuff. All right, another successful refactor. Anything else in here that we need to do? Nope. Okay, so seasons list test is done. Season test. So yeah, so another perfect example of stuff like what does this mean? Like why are we saying sub years and sub years on looks the same, right? So another perfect example of why you want to do a refactor like this. Glad to have you on, Barney Boy. Love it. Okay, so what we're really saying here, I mean, we'll leave the league ID because this is just something that we need to pass in. But what we can do is we can get rid of this start date, end date, and make this a little more obvious about what we're really trying to accomplish here. Because when I look at this, it's really hard to parse. And I'm looking at this, I still don't understand why I did it like this, other than I wanted something further back. And so really, this shouldn't even exist at all, because all we're saying is it knows when the previous season is. Oh, I see what I was trying to do. Okay, so they have to be separated by exactly 1 year. So the start, oh, no, that doesn't, it shouldn't matter. So I'm pretty sure I can actually get rid of that. And then season, we'll just call this past. We can get rid of that. Season factory. Do we have one? Okay, so we can just grab that and call this past. And so yeah, so current year exactly. Like, yeah. So this should still work now. Oh, failed to starting at 2 matches expected 1. What did we do wrong here? So, previous season ID. We put that there. Okay, yeah. So now it's definitely always creating the new season in the current year and the old season in the past, right? So that makes more sense. Okay, so season current true. Again, we should probably just make this a state so that we could go something like current, right? And then here and here, and then we should be able to get rid of this current true out of here. Because again, don't care about why it's in there. We just want to know that it's current. So let's go back to our season factory. And want to set this to just say current. And it's current is true. So now that test should pass still. Yep. Good stuff. I'm curious if I don't think this is going to work. I still think this is going to fail, but let's just try it. Must be of type array. App models. Can I go to array? Probably not, but no. Oh yeah, that's okay. We will figure this out later this week. For league. Okay, so what else we got here? Current false. So let's just say not current. And this one will be current. And season factory. Not current, and current will be false. This test should pass. Awesome. And season, so if the season starts in the same year, okay, so we can call this like same year. Same year. Actually, do the same capitalization here, same year. Okay. Beautiful. Season must have an end date. So yeah, this is a one-off thing where we're just testing this, the exception passing. So I'm okay with this because we're never actually going to be testing this. Like the whole point of this is to never come across this. So I don't want to create a factory state to imply that that's an okay thing. Like we're specifically testing an incorrect thing. So I'm okay with that. Okay, so has a logo URI. I don't think, like that should be as part of the factory anyways. Okay, so let's go to the season factory, and we're not going to set a state for this. We're just going to add that to the definition. So logo URI, and this is going to be this faker image URL. Cool. Knows how to search for its logo. Yep. Okay, so that file is, no, we're not done yet. Okay, so for league. Okay, so I don't think we can do states with, or sorry, factories with relationships that use state in them. So I think that's probably going to have to stick around, which is unfortunate. Yeah, that's too bad. Oh well. Okay, send upcoming season reminders. I don't think there's going to be much here. League factory. Oh, there is. Okay, so we can get rid of this. And we already made this one, so we can say NFL. Test should still pass. Cool. And if a user has created a ticket season for a league in the past, notify them when the league's next schedule is loaded. So we just want to say past. Ticket season factory. Okay, so this is just linking the two factor, or the season and the ticket season, so there's not much we can do about that. Okay, and then this is going to be in the past as well. Oh, okay. so unique constraint. Okay, so the start date. Okay, so the problem and is that it's basically it's running so fast that it's creating the same date in the past. Well, you know what? Let's just say current. The expected available was not queued. Okay, so what did we get rid of here? So start date. Oops. And why is my status bar on? That's annoying. Okay. So I think what we can do is in our season factory, let's accept an optional years ago parameter. Int years ago equals null. Okay, so we're going to say if years ago, oh, gonna wrap this in parentheses. Actually, I want to say is null. Start equals 5, end equals 4. Otherwise, start equals years ago minus 1, and end equals years ago minus oh, I guess this should be 1 and this should be 2. Okay, and then what we can do is we can say sub start and end. Use start end. Okay, so now that should work. So if we say past 5 years ago and then past 3 years ago, sure. There we go. And if we don't pass anything in, our tests should all still pass. So we'll just quickly run our test suite to make sure that is actually the case. Okay, failed sorting, blah, 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 is null. Okay, so, star given logo in S3. Okay, so we have this. Okay, so what we'll do then, instead of was it in here? Yeah, it was this. So let's just say has logo. Oops. And go into our season factory. We will default this back to none. And if we want one to have a logo, we will just give it one. Has logo. So this should now pass. So should everything else. Beautiful, no failures. Okay, so we can close that. Pardon me. What else we got? Nothing in here. Okay, site admin test. Shows the site. I don't think there's going to be much in here. We can just say admin and get rid of this. And actually, we can even go a step further into our user factory and just set a name of admin, since it seems like that's the case in a couple of these. So let's go find where we did that elsewhere and update it. User factory admin. Okay, cool. Are we hard coding anything else in our factories? I don't think so. Site admin test. Okay, so awesome. Sports teams. Pardon me. These are just references, so I'm not super concerned. In fact, we can say, I know this, that we can do this as game. Call to undefined method game. Oh, it has games? Probably. Cool. Another factor, refactor. Store logo and S3 test. Okay, factory, we don't have any. Perfect. Submit new league test. These are just the forms, so I don't think there's going to be much in the way of factories here. Okay, so is not disabled. You know, it'd be really interesting, and something I might look into submitting a PR to the framework for is just having these kind of helper methods built in, just like automatically generated based on like the fields, so that you can quickly enable or disable them based on just a method, and would just like be a magic thing. I think I'm going to make a note about that. What are we? Notes. Look into submitting PR for Laravel factories to automatically, magically enable states for Boolean fields. Cool. Okay, so let's go to our ticket season game factory, ticket game factory, and we will say function, oh, not that, function disabled is going to take a factor, it is going to return a factory. Why is that not? Oh, okay. Return this state, and this is going to be a function passing an array of attributes. Again, I don't think I need to do this, but for now I don't care. And we're going to return disabled is true. That needs to be semicoloned. And this is going to be not disabled, and disabled will be false. Oh, is disabled. Is disabled. Okay, cool. So now we can get rid of those, and this test should still work. Good. Okay. Factory count, fine. Game factory, okay, yeah, these are just like the linking stuff, so there's not a whole lot we can do about that. Awesome. pick test. It's really simple test. Okay, member test. No, that's good. Ticket season test. I bet you there's going to be some in here. So, yeah, that we can't do anything about because it's just linking it to the season. So our database has, okay. This is actually a lot cleaner than I was expecting. And this is just to test the, how do I want to put it, like a string manipulator. So, I mean, I guess in theory, we should just do like this. Get rid of that and then say team name. Oh, team nickname. Oops. Dot. That's the space. There we go. Not a lot of hard-coded stuff. I'm actually kind of impressed with myself because I was not expecting it to be this clean. Factory. Okay, so again, this is. Okay, so game. Do we have a game factory for the time? We do. They're all okay. So this is populate. Does not populate games that are in the past. Okay, so we're not using that variable, so we can just get rid of that. And then, how do we want to do this? In the past, game factory. This will be past, and okay. This is going to be now subdays plus 1. Shouldn't break anything. Okay, and then we want to make this one in the future. Game factory. Now add days 1. Okay, again, doesn't break the tests. Good stuff. All right, that's just the links. Okay, so that's just links. Good stuff. Two-factor authentication tests, update password test. Okay, so I think we're good here, actually. I just want to take a look to see if we can see. I know there was a couple of tests that only had the one link where we should be able to do like the has or for kind of thing. It's too bad I didn't note those down. Would have made my life easier. Game test. No, those are all good. Create new season test. Was it in here? No. Yeah, that has 2 links, so that's not going to work, at least for the time being. 2 links. Rotation test, maybe? No, these are all okay. Well, I might go back over these later. Yeah, these are all 2-link factories. League test. Yeah. Yeah, I think for now, I think that's going to be good. If I come across them later, I'll just update them in place, I think. But I think this is really good. We've updated 33 files. I think that's really awesome. 32, I guess. And it's given us a bunch of tests that are way more readable. Just run our test suite one more time, and it makes it a lot more clear to someone who's just coming into the project for the first time to understand what these tests are really trying to accomplish. Like for me, when I look at them, it's pretty obvious, but even coming back to this, coming back to some of these like a while later, it takes me a minute to get my bearings straight. And so when that happens, it takes you out of the moment, and it's that context switching that it makes you have to rethink and start your brain all over again. And so this way, when I come back to this code, it's going to be so much easier and so much more obvious what I'm really trying to accomplish here. So I think I'm going to call it here. So let's go to our Notion. So we've gone through each file one by one. Let's see where we're using values in the create method, and we're extracting those values into factory states. We have done all 3 of those with all of the tests. It only took us an hour and a half, which I'm really actually pretty happy with. And so I think we're going to call it. Thank you very much for spending some time with me this evening. Again, if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out on YouTube comments. I read all of them. I reply to them as soon as I see them, and I will do my best to answer any questions you might have. I will probably be streaming later this week with a new app idea that I'd come up with earlier today, and just hacking on starting a new project from scratch and seeing how that goes, just to see if it's even worth it. But otherwise, yeah.